Hello there.
Hello, Mr. Vermeulen.
Hello there, Mrs. Zambrano. How's it going?
How's it going? I'm doing fine. How are you?
Also good. Also good. I'm currently sitting here in Berlin,
Okay.
uh, where I'm stationed for the summer, working as a journalist. Yeah, looking forward to the call. What about you?
Yes, I'm in the US right now in Miami. And
Hmm.
yeah, we have great weather. It's a little bit warm. Beginning of July. It's getting really hot and humid. But it's definitely paradise.
Yeah, I can imagine. I can imagine. Yeah. By the way, do you prefer Vera Zambrano or Vera Müller?
Zambrano.
Zambrano.
Yes.
Okay, cool.
Mhm.
Wasn't sure. Just to double check. So should I just give a short introduction about myself?
Yes, of course. Thank you.
All right. So this summer I'm in Berlin, working as a journalist, and personally, I care a lot about music, and I'm specifically interested in what's going on right now with artificial intelligence. And in general, I've always been interested in music law, intellectual property law, and the way that music is or is not protected. For example, when it comes to sampling music. And so right now, I thought it would be very interesting to research the way that AI is changing, sort of the music industry, and what legal implications this have or doesn't have. And so I found you online, and I thought you'd be the perfect person to talk to. And so that's why I set up this call. I'm also interviewing other people to see what they have to say about AI, how they envision the future, and which way they think it is all going. And so therefore, I thought I also need to speak to someone with a legal background to see and hear about the legal implications that they think it has. And so that's why I reached out to you, and I'm not very happy I can talk to you.
Yes, thank you so much for reaching out. I was set up very shortly, right? Last week.
Exactly.
Yes, so AI is a very, very exciting topic. So, in fact, we know artificial intelligence is increasing anywhere in any field, not only in the legal field, right?
Yeah.
It's increasing like in art, in music, in all kind of consulting businesses. So, artificial intelligence is very, very exciting. So that means, of course, we have to think about it, talk about it. We cannot ignore it, right? It's definitely coming. It's coming in the music industry as well as in other industries. So we have to think about what consequences are there for existing music, for other artists, right? Who don't deal with any, artificial intelligence. What does it mean for copyright laws? Can we protect copyright against artificial intelligence music, right? Like a robot who is creating music. What does it mean, and how can we, react to that? So I would say artificial intelligence is a very, very new field when it comes to the legal area. So you have to know in advance that there's no court yet, not in the US and anywhere else in Europe, that has ever made a decision about artificial intelligence when it comes to copyright law. So it's like this is brand new for the court systems, right? That's why it's so exciting because sooner or later, I think in the US, maybe in the US as the first country, we will have a court deciding about, artificial intelligence. What does it mean for artists and for copyright law issues? So that's the first thing. There is an office, the Copyright Office in the U.S. in Washington D.C. that has already thought about this issue right before, and they say very clearly that music that is created by a robot, a computer, like artificial intelligence only, without any human input, cannot be cannot infringe copyright. So that
Right.
means because you have to know like copyright always talks about the author, right? It talks about the creator in the sense of it has to be a human being, it has to be a person, a natural person. So a robot, a computer can never replace a human being. So that is very clear. So if artificial intelligence is only created by a computer, right? That is not in any, it cannot violate copyright rights.
Yeah.
So, but the thing is, in most cases, a computer, a robot can only create something, right? They can only play something or create images or music if a human being is feeding it, right? So most cases, a human being is like feeding it, like placing a lot of music into it and see what happens, right? Also with images, when you Google something, please give me an image of, something historical, right? The computer will take all the information that is already fed with and create a new image. So that means that a human input has to take place somehow, right? And this is that's very exciting to differentiate. So the office in US, the Copyright Office, has not made any decisions about how do we see when a person is sitting there playing a lot of music and then place it into the computer, right? And the computer creates something new and futuristic. So that's not been decided yet. Yes. So if you have any questions to that, we can surely talk about it.
Yeah, definitely. Let me see. Yeah, because that's also basically why I wanted to write this article, because I already knew or assumed that right now it's mostly a gray area. And that's exactly what you talk about, why it's so exciting, or yeah, I feel like
Yeah.
it can go many ways. And so there currently has nothing been decided yet, no case law so far.
Yes. Exactly.
Uh,
Exactly.
uh,
Like there's no court anywhere. So as far as I know, like I have, also made some research, of course. Also, the office prepared some research for today. So there was no court decision, not in Europe, not in Germany, not in US, not anywhere in the world yet. So I
yeah,
think sooner or later, like an artist will, complain about or maybe sue somebody else for artificial music,
yeah,
and claim that it's his music, or like just we had a lot of artists in the past that were like suing other artists for copying their music, right? And the court had to decide if it's really a plagiarism, right?
yeah,
Or if it's a copy at all.
yeah.
So that will happen with artificial intelligence music as well in the future.
Exactly, exactly. Yeah, I'm familiar with the case of Pharrell Williams and Robin Thicke, and I
Yes,
believe Get Lucky and Marvin Gaye, and sort of
yes.
that drama that unfolded.
Yes.
Uh,
And there was also a very new case lately about, I think, The Weeknd and who else? The Weeknd and Drake. They had a
yeah.
song, and there was somebody on the internet that was creating an artificial intelligence track. And the lawyers, the attorneys of Drake and The Weeknd, they were able to get it down.
Oh,
So
really?
Spotify, YouTube, and any other platforms, they had to immediately remove it.
Yeah,
Um, and they claimed that it's a copy, it's an artificial intelligence music created their songs, but it's actually it's not quite clear how they really got it done, because they couldn't prove it. So it didn't go up to court yet. It was something, out of court, a settlement.
yeah,
So, like, unfortunately, we didn't have a court in place, because that would have been very interesting how the judges see it.
yeah. I can imagine. Yeah, now that you mention it, I do remember seeing this on the news and hearing it, maybe even.
Yes, it had,
Uh,
I think, 9 million views or something, like very shortly,
yeah,
and
yeah, yeah,
that's why
exactly.
it was like it was a threat pretty much to them, right? It was like,
Yeah, and
something growing big and quickly.
yeah, exactly. And it's just the beginning, because that's the thing. I think you mentioned it earlier, but in the beginning, people, I feel like, tend to deny sort of new technologies,
Yes,
and try to block it and try to steer away from it. But there's
yes.
no holding it back. Like
Yes, exactly. Exactly. You
it
cannot try to ignore it, because it just, it's present, and it will come right in any country of the world, because when you click on something and you can share it with anybody in the world right away, right? It doesn't even need, a delay, right? It is on there right away. You can share it with somebody in Asia as well in the US.
yeah,
So it's not a good, it's not a good help to ignore it, for all the musicians, the authors of pieces of music. It could be a threat. It could also be something like amazing. Like a lot of artists already use artificial music in their own tracks, right?
yeah,
Of course, that's not a problem for copyright issues, because they're exclusive owners and authors of their own music.
yeah.
So, that's why it didn't come up yet in front of the court.
Yes, exactly, exactly. Yeah, and then looking ahead, because as far as my understanding go, I believe the composition is copyrighted, plus the recording is
Yes.
copyrighted, musical pieces. And so often, for example, when it comes to samples, these samples need to be cleared because there's a copyright to the recording. And therefore, this case with, for example, Pharrell Williams and Robin Thicke was so interesting because the recording was not used, but the vibe sort of was used, right?
Yes. Yes.
And,
So,
and
but yes, it's very, very interesting that you say that because sampling has been decided before court. So
yeah,
there's no doubt about it that a sample is definitely copyright, like it infringes copyright because
yeah,
you put together the music as such, right? You use the music. There's no doubt about it that you create something new and you just use melodies or rhythm or beats. You actually take a bridge, or you take the actual music, the lyrics, maybe even the voices, right, or like similar voices. You take it and put it into something new and create a sample. So that's definitely a copyright issue.
yeah,
um
yeah,
yes.
exactly. And so that's why I'm wondering, because we now had the short example of Drake and The Weeknd, which I think is
Yes.
only the beginning, apparently was settled out of court. Unclear how that happened.
Yes.
Um, but let's say more and more people are gonna do this. Let's say I
Yeah.
hop behind my desk and I'm gonna make a song in the style of Adele and with the voice of Adele.
Yes.
I again, can I release this? Right now it's unclear. If you would have to make a guess or a prediction, what do you think the first court cases would judge? First case law.
Yes. So again, like in copyright, it's a very complicated and delicate matter, right? It's very dynamic. Like
Mhm.
other law, fields of law are like very rigid, or like like they're not developing as fast as copyright law. So the thing is, you always have to look at, okay, you're like, for example, you want to like record something new, or you create new music, right? And of course, you are influenced by your favorite music, your favorite artist. Of course, you take this like even subconsciously, right? When you go in the recording studio and you want to create something that you like, and of course you're influenced by Adele or somebody else that you like, right?
Yeah,
So you can use any beat, any rhythm, any melodies, as long as it's not it doesn't have too many factors in common. So that means if you use a voice that should sound like Adele, right?
hmm,
Or a female voice that should, that sings the same melody, that is a problem. But in fact, like in general, as I said, a lot of people, like there are a lot of music art pieces already out there, right? Like thousands, millions, billions of music. So it's almost impossible to create something that has not to do with anything else, right? Because you get influenced by a certain melody and you take this melody and develop it. So it's also in copyright law, we have a factor that says fair use is legal. So that means when you play something that you heard or were influenced by, that is fair use. You can use it. You're not violating anybody's copyrights,
yeah,
right? As long as it's not, you take the voice and the exact same melody, and probably like also some lyrics that are similar or the same. So that means the more factors are in common, the more it is likely that it could be seen as a copy, right?
yeah,
But for
yeah,
example, if you have a favorite music piece and you just develop it, and you have a different lyrics, you have the melody is a little bit different, and you just try to develop something a little bit different, right? A different beat, or like then it's very likely that it cannot be a center of a copyright law issue, because the
yeah,
attorneys would say, we have X amount of factors that prove that it's your inspiration, right? It's your creativity, and it's also you have the Constitution on your side that says you can express yourself as an artist as long as you're not intentionally intentionally copying another artist.
yeah, exactly. I like your quote, the Constitution on your side.
Yes, yeah, because it's true, right? It's like the First Amendment, the freedom of speech. It also includes you as the author, like First Amendment in the US, but we have like in Germany and anywhere else, of course, it's also in the Constitution that you can express yourself with images, with music, with words, with writing, as long as you don't intentionally and purposely copy somebody else without the permission.
Yes, yes, exactly, exactly. Yeah, because that's also something I'm wondering. Do you think that now with these new techniques unfolding, do you think that, for example, in Germany and the US, they will create new laws or try to interpret all the existing laws and sort of try to fit artificial intelligence in the existing laws?
Yeah, the problem is it takes quite some time to pass a law, right? Through the process. It takes up to, it always depends. It can take up to a year, up to like even longer. We saw that in copyright issues, it can take a little bit shorter. It could be faster, but I don't think that any country would implement a new regulation in the law system. I think
Yeah,
we have a quite a broad, a detailed copyright law in any country already. So I think they try to, implement those cases that appear in the future under certain regulation, and then have to decide, is it a violation of copyright law in this specific case or not? It's always about an individual case. So the case about The Weeknd and Drake, it doesn't mean that in the future when something else is created and Adele or Kanye West or somebody else is trying to get the track down, it doesn't mean that they have an example now, right?
yeah,
So you always have to look at a specific case, at a specific piece of music. So that's what it's very exciting, and nobody can actually say which direction it will take.
yeah, 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 exactly.
It's very specific. It's case law, as you already said in the beginning. Yeah, it's very specific case law.
Yeah, 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 exactly, exactly. Let me see what other questions had I written down. And so you touched about it in the beginning a bit already. But right now I think we've mostly been talking about AI using copyrighted music. How do you think music produced by AI will be copyrighted in the future?
I strongly think, and I think it's an amazing thing that artificial intelligence is, overtaking in a lot of areas. It does not replace us as humans because we are still like very important in every profession. So I don't think a replacement will ever happen.
Yeah,
Not in any industry, right? Because you need the human intake. Because a robot cannot think for himself, right?
yeah,
A robot cannot think, cannot evaluate, cannot, like overweigh or balance certain points, right? There's only a human brain that can actually create something new in the sense of thinking and rethinking things.
mhm,
So I think artificial intelligence, we should embrace it, right? We should say it's an amazing thing. It's 2023, we should definitely welcome it because a lot of artists already use it. It's futuristic, it's modern. Back in the days, people tried to compose with only their own hands, right? Instruments. They're only like, and then we had synthesizer, right? In the 80s, they were like, like a revolution. And then we have electronic music, right? Like 20 years ago, they were like the beginnings. So we see all these little steps, and I think it's an amazing development. A lot of young artists, also they don't have to spend a lot of money to go like to book a recording studio or to try to get out there, to try to show people their music. Like it's super easy to record a lot of like tracks, put it on Spotify, YouTube, share it, right? It's not, you don't need a lot of resources anymore.
yeah, yeah, yeah. No, I agree with you. It is very exciting in that case. Um, Let me see. So generally speaking, if I'm asking which direction do you think the music industry is headed, then you say it's a matter of time. AI will be embraced, and there's no law that can stop it. And that even in the future, AI, because say for example, with very little human input, I say please make a techno song, computer. My computer does it. Will the copyright belong to me in the future, or will it belong to no one? And can it be used and sampled by anyone?
Yes, so exactly that's the point. So if you feed your computer and it creates techno music because you play a lot of techno music in the background, and then there's a human input. Then you set the human input and the copyright belongs to you. If the
Right.
computer is searching, like, can the computer search for itself on Google? Like, I'm not sure, right? Can artificial intelligence like Google things by itself, or does it have to be fed with information before? That's
Yeah.
the question. Because if a human is inputting whatever, right, it can be a small part, it can be a small influence only. But if there's an input from a human being, an active input, then this person sets also the so-called the author for the piece.
Yeah. Yeah. I can imagine. Yeah. All right. Well, it's very useful. Are there any other things I'm missing? I'm not asking about, or things that are in the back of your mind that you feel are very relevant to this issue?
Well, I think a lot of people, like just in general, a lot of people are afraid and they say artificial intelligence, oh my God, hopefully this is not taking over. And but it's never good to just try to ignore new things, right? We've seen this in the past with a lot of things become like on electronic transfer, or you have to adapt. You have to adapt and see it as a chance, right? There are a lot more chances and advantages than disadvantages. The disadvantage that music might become, more like public to anybody to produce, right? So when I'm asking you, what do you think is a risk of artificial intelligence and music created by artificial intelligence input? What is the downside?
You ask me?
Yeah. When you think about it, because I can only see advantages. I mean, we will still have amazing songwriters out there and
Hmm.
amazing producers, right? This will not change. Like, take for example, Ed Sheeran. He's an amazing songwriter. He plays several instruments. He's an amazing singer. That will not change, but he still embraces to put, futuristic or electronic like elements into his music, right?
Yeah.
One doesn't have to be exclusive. You can still be an amazing musician and just take this and say, I want to play with it, right? I just want to have some elements in my music to because music has to be enjoyable too, right?
Yeah,
um,
absolutely.
so I think you can play with it, you can embrace it. I don't see any negative sides of artificial intelligence in music.
All right. All right. Yeah, no, yeah, that's I think I agree with you. Um, all right. Well, I think that's very useful. And I think we cover most aspects, the gray area, the legalities, the similarities with sampling, um, Drake and Adele. So then I guess I would like to thank you for your time. And I think my article will be published in the upcoming 2 weeks.
Okay,
Um,
perfect.
yes, so if there's anything unclear, I might still reach out to you. And yeah, if not, then you'll hear from me again, and you'll be my piece.
Thank you so much.
Of
Have
course.
a great
Thank you
day
so much.
and all the best for your journey.
Thank you so much. Yes, and yeah, thank you for your time once again.
Talk to you soon. Thank you. Bye bye.
Yeah.